Welcome back to another episode of the 7th D Puckcast. This is Keith.
And this is Chris.
We had a fairly slow trade deadline this year.
Extremely boring.
Yeah.
Mostly boring. Well, the actual deadline day was boring.
Yeah.
It was a deadline dud.
There was a couple more pre-deadline day transactions.
Those were the more exciting ones.
Yeah. Guess we'll just start at the top. The biggest one would be the Shattenkirk did move.
Yeah, Shattenkirk did move, and kind of at the, last second, the Capitals kind of swooped in and took it.
Yeah, I didn't really see him go in there, and then I was kind of surprised when I saw the update. I'm like, oh, the Capitals?
And they got him for a really good deal. It was the first, that the Blues, were going to require from it.
Yeah, they got the first, they got a second.
And the prospect's not someone who's shown much.
No, it was playing in their NHL team, so
yeah, but he's not done much, and he's not
an elite prospect.
Yeah, he's not
but
expected to be much.
He'll be a third, fourth liner.
So they had to pay that first and second round pick and whatever to get the best defenseman available at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
which helps in so many ways for that team.
He does. Probably makes him the number one contender right now for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I know earlier on we were doing our projections of who we thought was going to win the Stanley Cup, and I don't remember whether I said it was Tampa or the Blues, but I'm going to change that, and I'm going to go with the Capitals now, because how are you going to stop that team?
Yeah, you really can. The Capitals are already one of the best possession teams in hockey.
Yeah.
And Shattenkirk is one of the best possession defensemen in the league.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to smooth transition right into that team.
He did, because I was watching when he played against the Rangers the other night, and he had like 3 or 4 shots in the first period. He looked like he'd been playing there forever.
Yeah.
Like he didn't look like he was out of place at all.
Like, he pretty much got traded to a team where he belongs.
Yeah. And he has a really good shot of winning the Cup.
He does. The whole team does.
I think come the offseason, I think that's when the Rangers are really going to make their push to get him.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down between them and the Penguins on which one ends up with him.
Yeah. Because the Penguins were in on him too, but
who knows? Maybe the Capitals will be like, we like you.
Yeah, and if he turns out that he likes Washington and he enjoys it there, and especially if he wins the Cup there, he maybe says, hey, you know what, I'll just hang out here.
And, I guess the other big one, another one that I didn't see him going there, Ben Bishop to the Kings.
Yeah, I still don't understand that trade really much. The Kings aren't even in a playoff spot right now. They're really close, but they're not even in a playoff spot right now. I know it's insurance in case Quick's groin isn't 100%. But
it's not like Budaj was playing bad.
Yeah, Budaj played fine all year. I don't understand why you would do that. And the Kings needed scoring, and they got a goalie.
Yes.
Not even a defenseman that can put up points. They got a goalie. That doesn't help them at all because they still can't score.
Yeah. It was very weird. I mean, it was just a couple swap of not really important picks.
Yeah, later on picks.
Like fourths and fifths. I mean, they're pretty much just Bishop for Budaj.
Yeah,
But I think, as far as the Lightning are concerned, Budaj backing up Vasilevsky is much better.
Yeah, I agree with that, because Budaj can still come in and play a decent amount of games to give Vasilevsky a rest, because Vasilevsky is still a young goalie.
Yeah, now Tampa doesn't have to worry about keeping both goalies for the Las Vegas' draft.
Yeah.
Other than that, we had the Vanek. He went to Florida for a fourth, and McIlrath.
I think that's a pretty fair deal. Vanek's been having a good season. If the Panthers make the playoffs, they need a little bit more veteran.
Yeah, he'll help him score.
Yeah, and he's been around the league for a while. He knows what to do. He's been traded at the deadline.
He has like huge hockey IQ.
For the playoff runs. I mean, he's been in this position before.
And for the Red Wings, the fourth is, who knows?
It's not a bad, that can be turned into a good defenseman down the road or something like that, which the Red Wings really need right now. They need to get in those draft pick assets.
As a Rangers fan, you're pretty familiar with McIlrath.
Yeah, who knows? He could still turn out to be a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But
like at first he had the speed problems, but then he got the speed.
He got better with his speed. I wouldn't say he got the speed, but he got he got enough that he could play.
For his style, he had the speed.
And for a team that's going to be rebuilding and they're not going to be winning anytime in the near future, let him just,
he's young enough he can be that second, third liner for year after year.
And if he happens to turn out to, end up getting the chance there and showing that he's got a little more, and they trade him away like for another draft pick.
Yep.
Something like that. So I could see him working out in Detroit.
Yeah. Probably the only other biggest of all the trades was the Martin Hansel, Ryan White to Minnesota Wild. As a Coyotes fan, I liked Hansel. White was great. We got a steal for getting rid of both of them for a first, second, a fourth, and a prospect in Downing.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan White, he seems like a good guy you would want to have on your team. Like, whenever I saw him playing for the Coyotes, he always seemed to be enjoying himself, which is good to see. But at the same time, he doesn't really bring much of anything to the table. So the fact that you had a team willing to take him away and, well, if Tippett's not an idiot, open up more time for, some of the younger players to play, and Hansel, and they got another first-round pick out of it.
Yeah, like if they were traded Hansel and got a first, I would have been happy.
Yeah.
And if they... And put the fact that White's there, that means that White was a second, fourth, and a prospect?
Yeah, or, something like that.
That's an absolute steal off the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, Minnesota basically is banking on the fact that the Western Conference is pretty weak this year, it seems.
Yeah.
Going into the playoffs, and they think that with that addition, it might actually get them deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, the fourth round's conditional. I think it depends on who resigns, who doesn't resign. It could be Coyotes could walk away with a first and 2 second-round picks.
Yeah, if Hansel resigns, it's a second.
I think if White resigns, it was a third.
And if none of them resign, it stays as the fourth.
Yeah, it was a very weird kind of trade for the conditional, but I think it's going to work out great for the Coyotes.
Oh, yeah.
And they're stacked with prospects.
They're already stacked with prospects. They have a lot of depth in their system.
One thing I did notice with their new GM, when it comes time for the trade deadline, he could package that pick with another pick to move up again to grab somebody like.
Oh, yeah.
Like he did to get Jacob Chychrun.
Yeah, and he seems to also be just like, he kind of goes into these things like, this is the price. He tells every team what the price is, which is why Verbata didn't move.
Yeah, because, Verbata's a $1 million guy who doesn't want to leave Arizona. Chakya knew that. He's like, first round pick, you can have him.
First person to call me and say, you can have our first round pick, he would have said, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure teams were like, oh, we'll give you a second and prospect. And he was probably like,
nope.
First round pick.
Yeah. So he knows what, I guess, his values are on players.
Yeah, he's a very, very smart guy for being so young.
And I've seen some writers also say that they think the Coyotes screwed up big for not trading Verbata. Not really. The guy didn't want to move. No one was willing to pay the price and whatever. It's not like the Coyotes are going to lose anything.
A 20-25 goal scorer wants to play with you and will do it for $1 million. To me, that says, I don't want to play anywhere else.
Yeah,
I like your place.
Yeah, and so I don't see that as being a bad thing. And especially next year, it's going to be good because, if Verbata did move and didn't re-sign back in Arizona next year, your veteran player would again be OEL if Shane Doan also doesn't come back.
Yeah.
You'd have no veteran leadership.
Yeah, I think Doan's going to probably try to put out one more year.
I think so, too.
Well, I guess we'll talk about the whole moving of Mark Streit back and forth.
Yeah, I wonder if he bought a plane ticket after the first one. Because I can understand what Tampa was doing because they needed to move someone to make room to sign some of their guys in the offseason.
That cleared them $5 million in cap space trading Filppula.
And Filppula, whatever. You can get rid of him. He doesn't bring...
He's a little older.
Yeah, he's not bringing any superstar, level anything to the table. He's a good player, but he's not...
But they cleared up the $5 million in cap space, which is what they needed. But you don't want to
lose out on Tyler Johnson because you have Filppula or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the main gist of the trade, and then they got Mark Streit, and then immediately turned around and flipped him back
to the Penguins for a
to the Penguins. I think also partially they made that deal because the Flyers GM probably didn't want to trade directly to Pittsburgh.
Yes,
straight.
They're kind of the middleman.
Because they said that he knew they were going to flip him to Pittsburgh, but if it got out that he just sent their defenseman straight there might be a bit of an uprising against him.
Yeah.
Because, those two teams don't particularly like each other. Then again, who does like the Flyers?
Or the Penguins.
Yeah.
People in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I guess. For such a beautiful, nice state, Pennsylvania has the worst teams.
You have the Bruins. They got Drew Stafford for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, that was a very, very last-second deal. It seems that the guys that got traded on the deadline day did not bring back nearly the value that the guys traded before the deadline day.
I mean, it really depends on the team in that case, because the Red Wings traded this one defenseman.
Shut up.
Brendan said they got a 2nd and 3rd back for him. So, I mean, some players were getting sent out and getting a larger return.
But that was also done the day before the deadline.
That is true.
That wasn't on.
Yeah.
The players moved on the deadline day. Like P.A. Parentso didn't bring back nearly the return as players of very equal value got the day before or even in like 4 days before. It was kind of like what? Like even like Victor Stahlberg got moved for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
P.A. Parento, a 6th. They're not that different.
No, it's also the Devils trading, so every trade they do was completely one-sided.
Yeah.
Either in their favor, getting Taylor Hall and Schneider.
Yeah.
Or the P.A. Parento for a 6th.
But also, if you look at it, too, the Devils traded away P.A. Parento and got the same return that Steve Ott got.
Yeah.
And Steve Ott's useless. He has been for years.
Honestly, I didn't realize he still played.
Yeah, he just plays the 4th line, he gets into a fight here and there, and he does nothing else, and who cares?
Yeah. I mean, the Devils also traded a veteran, Kyle Quincy, and got a much younger in the Corrado.
No, Dalton Prout.
Dalton Prout.
Dalton Prout.
That's right, Corrado was in a different trade.
Yeah, that was a different trade, but again, the thing I have an issue with is the Devils needed to make moves because their depth is terrible. They don't have any good prospects, really. They have 1 or 2. But instead of going and getting draft picks for these guys, they got Dalton Prout. And when they traded Parento, they got a 6th-round pick. They need good draft picks, not these crap draft picks.
They're a team that needs to come out in the summer and be like, you know what? Schneider's available.
Anyone willing to take any player besides Zaka, Miles Wood, and Taylor Hall. You can have anyone you want.
Best offer wins.
Yeah. I'll give you a 7th-round pick because your team sucks.
Like what the other Keith said last week. I know you weren't here.
Yeah.
Because you had your date.
I had food poisoning, thank you.
A date.
Date with my toilet.
Schneider involved with Trouba. Good swap for both teams.
Yeah, because it gives the Devils that defenseman that they desperately need, and the Jets desperately need a goalie. Maybe with Trouba coming back, you could see a Hutchinson coming with him to give him a backup or something like that.
It'd probably be Pavelec just because.
But I mean, the Devils may not even care because they have Kincaid, they have Scott Wedgwood, they could
Appleby, whatever.
Yeah, they could just roll with that. But I mean, maybe you'll see a Hutchinson if they want to get like Wedgwood another year in the minors. Or something like that.
Some of the other names out there, Brian Boyle.
I mean, he brought, a 3rd or 4th round? Second-round pick. Okay, 2nd-round pick, which it kind of seems like a lot for a guy like Brian Boyle, but he is a very clutch player.
Like, when you watch any kind of playoff series, he's on one of the teams, you just hear Boyle.
He's always doing something. He's never invisible during a game.
No.
He's a 3rd-line player, but he's never just floating around doing nothing. He wins face-offs. He's very good at, face-offs.
He's very big.
He
makes those important moves.
He still can score goals, and he can crunch. He can get into those corners and hit people. And he has shown that in, important moments he can come through.
Yeah.
So, and he's got a lot of playoff experience, which a young team like Toronto needs if they're going to make the playoffs. And I don't think, obviously, Toronto's going to win it this year, but
no.
The fact that their young players are getting exposed to the playoffs this early is a great thing for them. Because I think for a long time, they're going to be in the playoffs with that team, if they ever could get more defensive help.
The only question they'll ever have is, 3, 4 years from now when Marner needs a contract, Matthews needs a contract, Nylander needs a contract. Those are all $6+ million players.
Yeah, they are, but I think for right now, I mean,
next three years they're going to be a big playoff team.
They're going to be a deep playoff team, and I think they have some contracts they're going to be coming up and getting off their books. That I think Roman Polak will be off the books by then. He'll be gone, retired,
But one of the things they need is the defense.
Yeah, but he's not a good defenseman.
No,
they need decent defensemen. Maybe they're going to have to give up a draft pick now.
Yeah.
That maybe they weren't expecting to have to do yet because they weren't expecting to be in playoff contention yet.
I think they're going to see how far they get in these playoffs, and they feel like, wow, we competed really well in this situation. We can trade our picks.
With a little tweak of a pick and bring in a good defenseman, we could be good to go.
Yeah.
But, you could also run into, them being like, okay, our defense got blown out of the water. Like
we were made to look silly.
Yeah, we need to make some moves.
And then they'll draft the defenseman with that first pick.
Yeah.
One team who I think did really well on draft day was actually the Canucks.
Yeah, they did. They maybe won the draft. Maybe there's some definite, you could argue different ways. The Coyotes did great with the Hansel deal, but the Canucks did what the Devils needed to do and what the Islanders kind of needed to do.
They cleared some older players.
They cleared Burrows and they cleared Yannick Hansen, 2 older players, and they got 2 great prospects in return.
They got Jonathan Dahlin and Nikolai Goldman.
Yeah, who are both
excellent prospect forwards.
Which is what they need. I mean, we've talked about how we don't see any future for this team in the past. Don't know what they're building on. They don't have any depth. They don't have any prospects. All of a sudden, they just got prospects.
Yep.
And they gave up 2 old guys to do it.
They cleared up that space, which now leaves room for them come free agency to see, who else should we bring in?
Yeah.
As long as they keep doing it smart, I think they can finally turn it around.
Those 2 guys coming in, I think, changed my almost my entire view on the team. Not that they're going to be competitive next year now.
No.
But I actually now am looking at it going, okay, they have something to build on now.
Yeah, you look at a team like the Coyotes, some of those other prospect teams, okay, the Carolinas,
I know who
we're
the
going to
players
be
of
them
the future is going to be.
Yeah.
Now it's okay, there it is.
Yeah, they call up a guy, we're like, who?
Mm-hmm.
Now they got a few people they call up, be like, oh, I remember him. He was in the trade for Hansen.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Well, we can talk about the Rangers, Brendan Smith.
Oh, yeah.
You're forgetting that wonderful turd that the Rangers turned up. I hated this deal for a couple different reasons. Brendan Smith doesn't do anything. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't get any hits. He doesn't block that many shots. I mean, here and there. He's a shutdown mediocrely at that defenseman.
Yep.
Who hasn't done anything in his career really to make him worth much. We talked about 10 minutes before it was announced that they had made the trade. I was like, if they give up anything more than a 4th or 5th round pick, I'm going to be pissed. 2nd and 3rd round pick, 10 minutes later they offer him. Why do we why? The Rangers need to start using more of those picks. I know one of the picks was the one they got from Ottawa in the Zibanejad Brassard trade.
Yeah.
But it addressed none of the holes that the Rangers needed to address.
So I think it was great when I mentioned that earlier in a few weeks, what was it, last week? Michael Stone went for a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So instead of getting Brandon Smith, with those same 2 draft picks, could have gotten Thomas Vanek and Michael Stone.
Yeah. Which Michael Stone is that offensive defenseman. He's not the best at it. He's not the greatest defenseman, but better than the turd they got.
Yeah.
And they could have had Vanek. They would have filled their 2 holes right there. The Rangers needed a puck-moving defenseman. They lost out on Shattenkirk, so that hurt right there. And they needed help on the power play. Shattenkirk would have filled both those holes.
Yes.
They could have paid just a little more than they paid for Brendan Smith and had Shattenkirk. Instead, no, we paid a lot for crap.
Well, all you gotta do is throw in a 1st and a prospect. Shattenkirk.
Yeah. 1st, 2nd instead of 2nd, 3rd, and a prospect. Yeah. Why? why wouldn't... I mean, I know you think you're going to be able to get him in free agency next year, but you have holes that you need to fill, and now the Metropolitan Division, all those teams got better.
Yeah.
On the deadline day.
A few days before the deadline, you have like the Rangers and all those teams, like all pretty even, and now it's just they got pushed down.
Yeah, the Penguins got Corrado, and they got Straight to help.
No, they traded Corrado to bring in. They got Corrado.
They got Corrado, and they got Straight because their
and Ron
defense is kind
Hainsey.
of banged up. And they got Ron Hainsey, so they've kind of helped their defense right there. Their offense doesn't really need any help. They didn't move Marc-Andre Fleury, but whatever. Now they have two quality goaltenders going in. So they're set for the playoffs. The Capitals greatly improved their team by getting Shattenkirk. Columbus made one or two small moves. I mean, they got Quincy. They got
Korpikoski.
So they improved, oh no, they got rid of Korpikoski.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. But they made all these little moves that just kind of helped their team a little bit. And the Capitals made their big, lands and stuff like that. The Rangers addressed none of their problems, maybe got worse, and now they're dealing with all these injuries, and they have no one. And they still have the holes now. So
yep.
They'll be knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, and then another person who I think was severely overpaid for, Jerome McGinley. A 4th-round pick for...
It's conditional, though. It's like...
Yeah, if he resigns, that's a 4th.
If they make the playoffs, there's a couple things to it. And if he doesn't do a couple of those things, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It goes away completely. So, I mean, whatever.
It's still offering up a 4th-round pick for him. It was a little high.
Like I said, the Kings needed scoring, and they got Jerome McGinley and Ben Bishop. Jerome McGinley hasn't been scoring at all this year because he's old as dirt. And you got a goalie.
Yep.
You screwed up. Another team that we could talk about screwed up, the Islanders. They did nothing. At all.
Like, they go in, I feel like a few weeks ago, they're like, oh, they're going to be sellers. They're going to move Tavares.
No, I didn't think they were going to move Tavares.
I mean, like, all the talk around the world. And then it's like, oh, they're now 8th in the 8th. So they're in a playoff spot. They're going to be buyers. And
no, they still did neither. They just...
I wouldn't be surprised if they were calling teams today and just finding out that the trade deadline passed.
Yeah, like, oh, wait, that was yesterday?
Oh, guys!
You guys played a trick on us. You told us it was the 2nd. Also, Colorado didn't really do much of anything. I had this kind of feeling that this was all kind of Sakic, like, telling everyone, like, hey, these guys are available with this astronomical pricing if anyone would be dumb enough to actually pay it.
Yeah, just like Colorado.
Yeah.
Asking for...
Well, that's what I'm saying, Colorado's doing, but...
The Islanders.
Duchesne, like, hey, like, they had Duchesne, like, just dangling him out there, like, anybody want this? And just seeing what they could get for him.
And everyone's like, keep him.
Yeah. They're like, nope, we're not going to pay that much for him. I think at the, draft or something like that next year, one of them might move. Also, when we were talking about the Islanders, though, Halak didn't move.
No.
That was a waste. Why not move one of your goalies, then? Because Halak's been tearing it up in the minors, and there were teams interested in him. Just move him.
Oh, you want a 3rd-round pick for him? Here you go.
Yeah, he's in our minors. He's not doing anything for us. Trade him. Why didn't you just give him to some team and get something out of it?
Yeah. Bring in Ben Bishop.
Yeah, I don't know. Do something. Gee, like, that was a waste of everything. I mean, the Stars got rid of... they, I guess, made a few moves. They got rid of Jordy Ben.
Yeah.
They traded for Laurie.
Yeah, they got Korpikoski out of that one.
Yeah. They did some little tweaks there, which I think is good, because I still don't believe the Stars are as bad of a team as they're playing this season. I still think next year they're going to come back and be back doing
it's the
well
goaltending, like I've
if
been
they
saying.
can solve their goaltending problems. I think the other thing that hurt the draft this year are the trade. Trade
was the
day,
unknown of
was
Las
the
Vegas.
Unknown of Las Vegas, and teams kind of going, if I trade for that guy, I might have to protect him, or if I move this guy, then I have to leave this guy exposed.
On a positive note, everything was finally finalized with Las Vegas. They are officially the newest team.
Yep, they are coming. Oh, one trade we also did forget to talk about, Yoki Paka and a second-round pick to the Senators for Curtis Lazar and Mike Koska.
Oh, that is right. Lazar's a very good young forward.
Yeah, he's got some potential.
Announcers aren't going to like Yoki Paka.
No, because
We are both probably saying it wrong.
No, I know it's Yoki Paka. I know that's how you say it. Yurki, I think, is how you say his first name, but I've heard him play, and everyone calls him Yoki Paka. No one calls him by his first name, and I understand why, because when I first saw it, I was like, the hell is that? Jyrki? I'm assuming that's Yurki.
Yeah.
That's as good as I can get.
Yeah, a few years back, when he was drafted, he was supposed to be one of the better defensemen in that draft.
Yeah, and
they also gave up a second to get Lazar. So
yeah, which, I mean, kind of further helps the Senators a little bit. Because, I mean, they have Erik Karlsson, and they have kind of an older defense. Finn's older. I think, CeCe's a little older.
No, CeCe's still 25, 26.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a little older than that. But, he's a depth defenseman, and they get another second-round pick out of it. And the Flames get a little more, just a couple more guys that could help them.
Yeah, another forward onto that team.
And another defenseman.
Yeah.
That should just help them out, kind of along the way.
Well, that just about wraps up our review of the trade deadline this year for the NHL.
We're sorry that it wasn't more exciting.
Yeah, we wish it was, but
it is what it is. Can't force them to trade.
60-plus games passed in the season.
Here we come down the home stretch.